Breathe in the air. Don't be afraid to care, but do be afraid of your scary boss. Welcome to Sync Floyd, the podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. My name is Gareth Blackler, and if the devil wears Prada, Adam Eve wear nada, this guy is in between, but way more fresher. Please welcome James Barron. Hello, James.
Hi. That makes me sound like I'm naked from the waist down, which isn't true, but I'm happy to be here on the podcast in business casual attire, Gareth.
Ooh.
I am in the oddest combination of clothes possible to record this podcast, and that I've just finished work. And so I've transitioned into pajamas from my lower half, but I'm still wearing a business shirt and have my microphone clipped to it. So
Wow.
it really is business casual by all definitions. Pretty bizarre as a look.
Man.
If we're looking at the Sync Floyd lookbook, this one's a big miss.
Oh man, Miranda would give you a stern look and say that's all, I think.
Fully pursed lips for the James Barron look. Yes, Devil Wears Prada.
Thank you for choosing this film, James.
Wasn't expecting thanks, I'm not gonna lie. Plucked it out of thin air last week. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed.
That's great. You know, I'd never seen it.
What?
I'd never seen Devil Wears Prada.
Oh my god, wow.
Right?
Fair enough.
And it's like, it's all my friends bringing their A game to talk about fashion in the big city.
Yeah.
What more do you need?
Not much, man. Yeah. I caught this like at random on playing on free-to-air television one day, and I was just like not doing much in my life, and I was like, oh, The Devil Wears Prada is on, and I just ended up, it got its hooks into me, and I ended up watching the whole thing, like ads, like trial by free-to-air ads and all. So that was my first viewing of The Devil Wears Prada, and since I've watched it as God intended, with Pink Floyd playing in the background. So there you go. These are my experiences with the film. What about this? Was your first watch? And
this was my first watch, and everyone so good in this. Like, you've got your best Emily Blunt, you've got your best Anne Hathaway, you've got some of your best Meryl Streep, and you've got the Tucciest Stanley Tucci I've seen.
Yes.
Did you know John Krasinski also watches Devil Wears Prada like you, and every time it's on, he'll watch the whole thing on TV, unless his wife's in the room, his wife being Emily Blunt.
Wow. That tracks. Does he just love watching his wife? If that's true, it's very sweet.
That sounds like him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Aww.
What if my wife were a mean business lady?
My wife's so nice. Why can't my wife be mean? A movie where she's mean.
Excellent. I will enjoy this. Simple John pleasures.
Oh, Simple John. Oh, man. And speaking of wives, Stanley Tucci met his wife via this film.
Wow.
Emily Blunt brought her sister along. And now Emily Blunt is now Stanley Tucci's sister-in-law.
Wow. So he's like, John Krasinski is Stanley Tucci's brother-in-law? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're in-laws.
Man.
Yeah.
Why? Today I learned that's very, very interesting information, man. Wow. Got me there.
I'm just imagining like home videos and Stanley Tucci's like, maybe a little too passionate about the fine wine and cheese they're serving at dinner. Mm-hmm. And John Krasinski's looking straight down that camera like, this guy.
I'm now reframing this entire film with John Krasinski as the target audience. Like, every decision is being made for his benefit. They had a mood board and it's just his face on it.
I love that. Imagine your like sister-in-law, your brother-in-law and your wife are just making a movie just for you.
Yeah, that's what I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, what a lovely story. But no, we've got to see how this heartwarming tale matches up with the Floyds, with The Dark Side of the Moon.
We're looking at fashion and the moon's wearing all dark side this time.
Changing it up. Hot summer fashions. I don't know. With the moon. changing it. Gosh.
Yeah. Runaway magazine is just advice on how to escape things. Runaway magazine, based on Vogue magazine. Vogue magazine once, apparently, unless it was photoshopped, because you can't trust Pinterest, on Google, Vogue magazine once had Pink Floyd on the cover.
Wow.
That's the ground we're building this fashion empire of a podcast episode on.
Sweet.
Today.
That's very interesting because it implies that at some point Pink Floyd were in Vogue. So
yeah,
and we've missed it.
Yeah,
dang it.
And James, have you ever worn Prada?
Not that I'm aware of. Possibly accidentally. I will give the proviso that I know basically nothing about fashion, the fashion industry, and every aspect of it. I am a complete novice, and so my discussions of fashion on this episode, I come by it honestly that I know little to nothing. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, that is an important proviso to make. Not intentionally wearing effectively any brand that I'm aware of. My main look is, as you're aware, wearing pajamas and a business shirt, and or the like secondhand store chic is sort of my go-to. But yeah, there you go. Sort of paints myself in the picture. Yeah, I don't think I've ever spent more than $150 on an item of clothing in my life.
That's fair. But James, you see, you think this has nothing to do with you.
It's
you go to
true.
your closet and you select that lumpy, loose sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. Mm-hmm. But what you don't know is that those pajama pants are not just blue, James.
They're cerulean.
And you're blithely unaware of the fact that in 2016, I once told an Uber car to take... I once told an Uber to take me to the Prada store because I could not think of anything else that was in that neighborhood. Oh, that part of Queen Street.
Wow.
In Auckland. And I needed to get to the little bus that takes you to Kelly Tolton's aquarium. So I was like, yes, I'm going to Prada. And I actually just went and looked at some penguins.
Well, there you go. Penguins are always sharply dressed, so I think it's fine.
Like tuxedos.
Yeah, we basically did the same thing. There's no lies told to the old Uber car. Great. Okay. Enough preamble from the boys. We've got to
let's take all these loose threads we've just chucked in the air and try to weave a podcast coat out
jacket,
of them.
Yeah,
to keep the listeners' ears warm.
The earmuffs that we're slowly knitting around your ears as you listen. Okay.
This one's for you, John Krasinski.
We love you, John. Opening title, Speak to Me. Everything that you know and love. We've got Anne Hathaway playing Andy Sachs here as our main character. She's basically just doing the Anne Hathaway thing. I feel like this is like her most defining role. Like whenever I think of Anne Hathaway, I think of this movie now. Like, so there you go. I don't know what that means, but that's how I feel. She's getting ready in the morning in New York City, baby, alongside various models and being directly compared to them. The irony of this opening sequence is that she's like presented as like, oh, she's the regular girl as compared to these like incredibly beautiful, attractive model types. But she's like on the same level, if not as beautiful, in my opinion.
Right?
Like
she's Anne Hathaway.
Right? It's very funny that she's presented as like Ugly Betty, but she isn't at all.
Yeah.
You know, she's just your average, everyday, gorgeous actress.
Yeah.
You know?
It is ridiculous. And it's the same for like the Princess Diaries. Like, she's still Anne Hathaway, even if you've got her hair frizzed up for a movie.
Right. Yeah. This is defrizzed Hathaway, what's more. Like, you know, she's like looking good from the get-go. She like, her cardinal sin in this opening sequence is that she eats a bagel with garlic on it, and that's like a crime against humanity, according to the movie. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it is a weird one. It's like a knotty kind of situation to try to untangle. But yeah, I do love this opening sequence, taking us straight back to the mid-2000s with the song. I mean, obviously we're not hearing it, we're hearing Pink Floyd, but Suddenly I See by Katie Tunstall.
Yeah, man. This is a transportative song for sure.
Yeah.
What a banger. Maybe I'll sing it for the outro. I have a lot of good choices with this movie. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in the end.
John Krasinski, start voting now. What do you want to hear?
Vote now on your phone.
Only you, John. Do you want to hear my Katie Tunstall joke?
Please.
Okay. Hey, Katie Tunstall. I didn't realize it was going to be winter already, but it's suddenly I see.
Oh, very good. Goodness me. I like it. I like the joke.
I've been sitting on that one for 14 years?
Wow. Since that song was relevant, that's awesome. I love it. Oh, man. Biding your time. Till episode 97 or whatever it is. Film 97 of our show. Anyway, she's an aspiring journalist here in New York City wanting to get into the industry, but she's just started a new job. She's interviewing for a job, starting a new job. It's not clear. But she's being interviewed for this place, Elias Clark Publications, and specifically working at Runway magazine, which is, fictional, based on Vogue. She's interviewing for this assistant gig alongside Emily Blunt, character name Emily, conveniently, who is the existing assistant for Miranda Priestley, this otherworldly editor-in-chief at this magazine. She's so she comes up to the office for this interview, and Emily's picks her up and can't believe that you're clearly not presentable enough for this job. It's okay, it's Anne Hathaway, but sure. And we go into On the Run as everyone in the office flies into a frenzy because Miranda is coming, which is very nice. With Nigel, Stanley Tucci's character, Nigel. If Stanley Tucci wasn't called Stanley Tucci, he would be called Nigel. So giving the order to prep for her arrival. But yes, all these characters already here. Big fan of all of them.
The stacked cast of not even really once you get past this main four, it's kind of not that stacked. But to see them all that quickly, you're whoa. Yeah.
Alrighty. So Miranda comes in and is immediately very cold and very harsh to the assistant Emily. He starts prattling off demands and information and all kinds of things that she needs to be on top of, and Emily clearly isn't coping well with it. This is the clear reason why there needs to be a second assistant, or at least a replacement for Emily. She comes in, and then we get the crash sound and On the Run, not really lining up with much, but she requests to meet Andy, who comes in over the clocks going off, which was a decent thing for me, just her coming in with all the clocks happening. Pretty nice. Yeah. Andy goes into this interview. We find out a bit of information about her. She's a recent graduate from university trying to get jobs in the industry, but doesn't have a lot of options in trying to get in. It's sort of a who you know kind of thing with journalism. And so is going for this job at the publication regardless, and is hoping that will open doors in the future. She'll work in this job for a year and then be oh yeah, I worked as the assistant to Miranda, and now I can get any job in journalism that I want. Notably, she doesn't read the magazine. She doesn't know anything about fashion, and basically doesn't even know who Miranda is. And Miranda's oh gosh. And she also dismisses her whole outfit for this job interview very brutally. Andy does stand up for herself and says oh, okay, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but but like I'm here to do the job or whatever. Nigel comes in and like roasts her in this like really harsh way. He's so mean at the start of this movie.
Yeah.
He's like, who is that sad little person? Are we doing a before and after piece I don't know about? And I was like, oh damn.
Yeah.
And yeah. So she heads off like thinking that she doesn't have the job. But before she can get away out of the lobby, Emily comes down and fetches her because she does have the job. Who knew? Yeah. And yeah, so from here we go straight to like a bar where we're catching up with Andy's friends and her boyfriend Nate, who I don't know how to say this guy's name, Adrian Grenier, I want to say. I've recognized his face from something else, but I don't remember what. Was he on Lost?
He was on a little film we covered on this show, James.
Oh, no.
That's Vinny Chase from Entourage, baby.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe I forgot. It's such a scarring experience on my life, you could say.
This is honestly his only, like, big thing that's not Entourage.
Wow.
And, again, he's stuck playing this role that I'm sure on the script he was like, yeah, this is the nice guy.
Yeah.
And everyone watching is like, this guy is the worst.
Kinda nah. Yeah. Like, honestly, both of the, like, quote-unquote love interests in this movie suck so hard. Like,
oh my god,
none of them come out looking okay, if you ask me.
So bad. So bad, and also so famous for TV shows I really don't like.
Yeah.
But we'll get to him. There's an entire section on the Devil Wears Prada Wikipedia that is like critical response of Nate, which I think is so funny.
Wow. Get roasted, mate.
Miranda this isn't like a quote or anything, but it's in the Wikipedia page. Miranda has not been the only character in the film to provoke a negative reaction from viewers over time. Mm-hmm. Nate has been called the real villain by some.
What is the storybook cadence from the Wikipedia article? I love that. That's so good. Oh my god. Well,
it's awesome because even like the writer of this film, Aline Brosh McKenna, had to come out and defend the character and say like, it's a thankless role, like, you know, to be the kind of jerk, like kind of doesn't get that she's changing boyfriend.
Yeah. This is the classic, like, issue with rom-coms is that, like, in order for there to be narrative tension, people have to start acting irrationally at some point in order to have, like, any kind of conflict in the story. And something so grounded like this, like, you've got to have a character just, like, fly off the handle and act really out of character in order to push things forward. And we'll get to that, but, yeah, I feel like he falls victim to that trope pretty hard. Anyway.
Yeah, there's also an amazing photo of him in this. A small, weirdly in-depth, like more in-depth than a lot of the rest of the Wikipedia page.
Wow.
Of, like, the actor of Adrian Grenier just doing the, like, scariest smile. And it says, Grenier, shown in 2007, has come to terms with the negative reaction his character has gotten. And his grin is honestly, like...
just a grimace.
Yeah, or, like, with a bit of evil behind it. Like, he's like, destroy me, world. I'm ready.
I'm fueled by your hate.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
8 seasons of Entourage have only made me stronger.
I would hope so. At that point, if after 8 seasons, if you're weaker, what has it been for?
Yeah. You've got to be like Turtle and get that shell.
Exactly. Got to have that thick skin. Oh my
Honestly,
god.
like, and we'll stop psychoanalyzing Adrian Grenier in a second, but like...
Sure.
So his 2 biggest roles are this, where over time, everyone who loves this movie he's in learned to hate him. But, like, didn't hate him initially. And it comes out at a time where he's playing a TV show where, in the TV show, he's the biggest actor in the world. And then, like, he's had to watch his real career not go that direction, while his, like, other thing has like grown against him. Like,
yeah.
No wonder these eyes have the shells growing over them. Like,
he's got shells on his eyes? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Should see a doctor. God. Man. All right. That's enough analysis of poor Adrian. He's doing his best. Oh, my God. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's doing well now. In a post-Entourage era, anyway, he can recover and let down his shell. Is that a thing? Is that a saying? I don't think so.
Let the shells fall off your eyes.
Okay.
Adrian.
Okay. Gross. They're all... Sorry. So anyway, these guys are all in jobs that they aren't that passionate about. Nate's like working in a restaurant. Another friend's like a business analyst. One of the friends works in like a gallery that they run, and that I think that's a pretty cool job, but she's like, it's whatever. Anyway, they are like all... they toast to having jobs that pay the rent, is the situation here. And I guess that's fairly appropriate for Time, which is playing right now. They're just like letting the days go by, letting the water hold them down. That's a different song, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, we also see, yes, that she is currently in a happy, committed relationship with Nate, and that is ready to be ruined. Huzzah! Yes. So, the following morning, on her like first real day at the job, she gets like Andy gets a rude awakening and has to get up and prepare like an extremely complicated coffee order. She comes in late and gets in trouble immediately with Emily, who she makes pretty clear that she's got like zero faith in her to do this job and is more concerned with like herself and how this makes her look rather than like getting this person that's prepared in any way to do the job. Pretty callous. It's a nasty work environment. We're going to find out pretty quick. She basically lays down that there's like a clear pecking order between them when she's the like preferred assistant that gets all the proper responsibilities, and she's just like she runs errands and takes messages and gets coffee. She does all the like lame jobs that Emily doesn't have to do, and she gets the benefits. Emily gets the benefits like going to Paris, which is like the crown jewel in this role. She gets to go to Paris with Miranda for Fashion Week coming up. So we also get prepared for a later plot point with dropping off the book, which is like pre-pro for the magazine, pre-production stuff that gets dropped off at Miranda's house for approval. It will become important later. We go into Great Gig, and Andy is sort of like left to her own devices for a bit as Emily like runs off to do something, and she completely fails at a phone call. Like, I love that she asks how to spell Gabbana, which is you're like, I wouldn't know. Fair enough. Nigel comes around and drops off some like high heels for her to wear as like a welcome gift, but also like a read on her being like, your shoes are bad, which is very funny. Like so much of this intro is just so backhanded and fake nice. It's really interesting.
It's even beyond that. It's like pretty front-handed.
Yeah. Everyone's saying, like, you shouldn't be here. What are you doing here the whole time? And she's just, like, smiling and taking it. She gets called into Miranda's office, and she, like, does the whole routine that she would usually do with Emily, just saying a whole bunch of names and saying, like, oh, go and collect 15 skirts from Calvin Klein, and talk to Josephine and call Simone. And it's like, who are any of these people, and what does any of this mean? Pretty brutal.
I love Meryl Streep in this. Like,
oh my God.
Like, just something about how quiet she is. Like, even though you're watching it on a TV, you're leaning in. You're like, what is she saying? What is she saying? And it's like, just draw me in with how like gently, softly spoken you are.
Exactly.
And then just, give me a look and destroy me.
Apparently, she based this performance on Clint Eastwood, which once you hear it, it makes a lot of sense. Like the sinister, like softly spoken, like almost like a growl kind of thing that she's doing. Like it makes sense, right? Just this, like, she's in complete control of the situation that she's in at all times. So I think that's an interesting choice for her. But yeah,
I want to see Meryl in a Western now.
Oh my God, can you imagine? Just replace her. Replace old Clint in a role with Meryl Streep. I want that movie. That'd be great.
The good, the better, and the best.
Oh, yeah. So she gets sent off to pick up these Calvin Klein skirts, more Starbucks, 25 scarves, just a bunch of random crap that we don't know, and goes to do that. She does all that, comes back, and there's a thing where Miranda like comes in and throws her coat and bag like just directly onto Andy's desk, and she's just expected to like deal with that immediately. It's clearly like something that the assistants just do. They just pick up the stuff and like she just is like flying through, and anything that stands in her way is just bowled over, right? Is the idea. Yeah. We go into money, and as part of this, she's like pushed up all of the like. She just makes her own schedule. She just decides when things happen. People are like in a frenzy trying to prepare for like upcoming meetings and presentations and stuff. And she just decides that those happen now, like on her time. She does this several times in the movie. Like right here, it's a run through. Later on, she does like a presentation from like someone like outside of the company, like one of their clients, effectively. She just like decides that the meeting's happening like a day or like 3 days early or something. It's like, Jesus, okay. It's wild, but sure. She like she has this clout though, because effectively she's like in charge of the whole magazine. She doesn't own the magazine. She's editor-in-chief, but her opinion is the one that is like worth everything to everybody around her. She's like really earned this spot, and like the magazine is like basically successful because of her and her like intense decision making. So that's why she gets so much respect despite being so horrible. Nigel comes and talks to Andy at like in the lunch line at this magazine. She like gets some food. I don't know why they even have food here if none of the models are going to eat anything. I don't know what's going on. But like he like scolds her in like a semi-affectionate, semi-rude way, just like ripping into her. But he like sort of like half guides her. It's like if like the little grasshopper friend in Pinocchio was like just fucking horribly mean to you all the time. Oh, that's what it feels like. That's the little Nigel on your shoulder guiding your way.
Oh, man. Nigel does feel like he assumes immediately that they're better friends than they are, and that's why he's so mean.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I think so.
I'm sure many people have been like, who are you? Why did you decide to hurt my feelings, sir?
Yeah, please, I'm just getting lunch. He's like, I'm Nigel, I don't have time for this. But yes, this run through that is being prepared for gets pushed forward, and Nigel gives Andy the tip that she's like now late and has to show up. And we're mid-money solo now. We're seeing that she's just basically in mid-meeting just like treating everyone as if they're like incompetent, except for Nigel, who is able to like keep up with her and like offers his advice and suggestions, to which she like takes to heart. So that's interesting. He's obviously like earned his place with Miranda. So yes, everyone's like scrambling to deal with it. And yeah, she's the one who changed the schedule, but she actually asks, why is no one ready? And it's like, I wonder why. It's quite funny. She just expects this greatness at all times. During this meeting, they're like comparing different looks, and two belts get compared with one another that are like basically identical except for the buckle. but they're clearly very different, Gareth. Oh my gosh. And Andy like laughs at these two belts being compared because it's such a like ridiculous situation. And Miranda dresses her down in front of the whole group, like you did to me at the start of the podcast.
Like I do to you off mic every week.
Oh no! Airing a podcast dirty laundry again. Yeah, Gareth's like really mean to me when we're off the show. Just keeps like trying to. He's like, James, we're gonna move metrics. We're gonna push the envelope every episode. You better fucking step it up, mate. God, I've been waiting around. This is what I hear every week.
Essentially, what happens is I get James crying, and then immediately put on my fake showbiz voice and go, "Welcome to Sync Floyd." And then I give a long enough intro so he can choke down those tears of weakness and come and meet me. And then as soon as we're off mic, my voice drops back to a quiet whisper. And I'm like, James, you haven't disappointed me today.
Oh, thank God.
But tomorrow is a new day.
My favorite words to hear. Yeah. I wonder how many tears you've edited out of the preamble to this show.
Oh, mate.
Countless.
Well, they'll land on your microphone and I've got to deal with the sparking noises.
Wow. I've got very conductive tears. Who knew? Wow.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay. I better get back to it, otherwise I'll get yelled at. Yeah, everyone... So, she dresses her down, saying, like, the whole thing, the bargain bin, etc. After this, like, Andy goes home to her boyfriend and complains about like how unreasonable and tyrannical Miranda is and how like she's like, this job is stupid and people act really stupid. I can't stand it, but I'll stick it out for a year so that I can be a proper journalist is her whole attitude basically. And he's like, okay, I guess. Fine. His point later on here, I'm going to get to it now. Yeah. Is that she's being like this constant like complaining about her job is like false. She like gets really good at the job and really likes doing the job, but she still whinges about it all the time, and that's what he doesn't like. And it's like, people are allowed to like whinge about their job. I think that's my main beef with him, is that he like doesn't listen to her properly. I don't know. It's like,
yeah, I'm almost okay with that. I feel like that's a very, and this is incredibly like, I guess, heteronormative.
Sure.
But, and like obviously all the stereotype, but I feel like men are generally not as good at just having a kind of vent and they all just want to solve the problem.
Oh, true.
And by men, I do mean me in relationships. It took me ages to be like, just let someone vent. You don't have to be like, hey man, let's get on seek.co.nz and find you a new job right now. So yeah, maybe old Vince Chase is doing that. You know, you don't have to Vince Chase a new job. You can just say right Grenier and enjoy it.
Exactly. You know, it's like, there's another edition of Sync Floyd relationship advice.
The number one relationship advice show for you, John Krasinski.
Just you, John. How's it going with Emily? Yeah. I don't know. I don't read the papers.
Famously one of the most like healthy marriages in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Thanks to us.
We're clearly just been offering the correct advice, is all I can hear. Yeah. Number one, baby. Anyway. Oh, God, where am I? So she's like complaining about this, and then we transition out of money and into us and them, and we just get like a montage of her trying to keep up with these insane requests that Miranda has and throws at her. Like a whole bunch of different things. They're pretty silly, like taking it, like they're just fairly standard things that you would ask. Like I don't know, take my dog for a walk, go like drive my car to get repaired or whatever. It's stuff that an assistant would do, but it's presented as this like ongoing drama, you know, with this montage. And yeah, it's also to like pass the time of her in this job and not being great at it. And yeah, we're now like months later, and Miranda is like going on holiday in Miami for the weekend, and the assistants are like, "Yay, a break!" And yeah, Andy takes this opportunity to like have a visit from her dad, and they go out to dinner and like go see a show together. He gives her a check because apparently she's behind on her rent. Not only is this job like really intense and hard, but she's also being like really underpaid apparently. So not great. I guess cost of living in New York must be pretty high.
That's even in 2008, like definitely. She's probably getting paid like a ridiculous amount, but you know, she only gets to live on a small windowsill.
Yeah, probably. She's a little like hood ornament inside a taxi is where she actually lives. Yeah.
Oh, she's stuck to the bottom of a manhole. Her and Adrian Grenier just find a good piece of gum and stick themselves to it and sleep.
$500 a week.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And you have to share it with these 4 unruly turtles.
Oh, hang on. Got a story on our hands. They like bond together over their love of pizza and fighting crime.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
The devil wears Prada. The turtles wear bandanas.
Turtles in time. Oh, man, it all comes back. Even Turtle's there from Entourage. Perfect. He's the 5th turtle.
He's how Adrian Grenier got the place.
Exactly.
My 4 brothers will help you.
Oh, I love that a lot. Just bloody Adrian. Yeah, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Adrian. World famous Renaissance artist. Anyway. Yes. So yeah, gives her a check. Parents are like concerned that she's being like overworked and underpaid, and also doing like nothing that she wants to do. She's like no closer to her goal really, even though she's like doing this. She's like tries to explain that she's like sticking it out for this recommendation, but her parents are like, "Is it worth it?" And then they disappear from the film.
Yeah, along with the financial worries.
Yep. Completely. Just an abandoned plot hook, but sure. The dinner that she's having does get interrupted by Miranda, who is like trapped in Miami because there's a hurricane, meaning that she can't get home because no planes are taking off. And she's like, "Get me home," like demanding it, even though that's like completely unreasonable and an insane thing to request. Pretty good stuff. Yeah, she gets like told off the following X days. I don't know. The next time they're back in the office because she couldn't get Miranda home and she missed her like one of her twin daughters' recital. And so tells her off. Says that she hired Andy as like an experiment over instead of hiring like any other like random sycophant that would like suck up to her and worship the magazine or whatever, because she's like, the thing that you said about like being smart and a hard worker intrigued me, basically. Yeah. And this actually takes place. This is a good sync because it takes place over the good manners don't cost nothing, don't they? In the middle of Us and Them. Transitioning before the solo. So, classic. Good stuff there. This obviously really upsets Andy, and she like goes away and like goes to Nigel to like say, I hate working here, blah, blah, blah. Why is she so mean to me? And he's like, either stop whining or quit is what he says. Like, not the mentor talk that she needs, but it does work somehow. Not entirely sure how. But she's like, his speech is this Miranda is doing her job and she expects greatness all the time because that's her focus. Her whole deal is that she wants greatness. She wants to make the magazine the best it can possibly be and demands that of everyone around her. And that's how she's been gotten to where she is and why she is the way she is. Which is reasonable, but still, like, I don't know, she's a bit mean. Could be a bit nicer about it. And yeah, he also says that the magazine is like a beacon of hope for a lot of people, alluding to himself growing up. He's like, it was like a big deal for him. And he's like, yeah, I could, like, you're incredibly replaceable. Like, you should quit because I could find someone else who would love your job in like 5 minutes. Harsh, but probably fair.
Yeah, see,
Anyway.
that's what probably make me quit, is the idea that I'm taking a good job that someone else would enjoy.
Yeah, it's true. You know,
Like, that's just a thing about me, is I think I lack that kind of competitiveness.
too much empathy for random people that you don't know.
Yeah, like if someone emailed us and was like, I'd love to host your show, I'd probably be like, well, James, you've got a new host.
What? Oh my gosh! Just the bequeathment of a really well written email convinces you to quit the show. Wow!
I'm 6 years old and I want a podcast. James, you've got a new host.
All right, sweet.
I've never seen a movie and I don't know what Pink Floyd are.
Yeah, but you got heart. If you want to replace Gareth on the podcast, do write in to syncfloydpod@gmail.com. Subject line, new host.
Yeah. We've got this new one from j.krasinski@hotmail.com.
Wow. I can't believe he nailed down that username before somebody else.
Yeah,
Good on him.
Hotmail as well.
Yeah, the one most competitive email format.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, so she reframes her question. She's like, okay, I won't quit. I'll keep going, but I wish I knew how not to screw up so bad. And she asks Nigel to like help her. And Nigel's way of doing this is like, okay, I will fashion you up, girl. I'll make you fashiony all over. Let's go to the secret fashion zone within the magazine, and I'll do a full makeover montage on you. And yeah, does that. She gets a whole bunch of nice clothes and fresh outfits, I guess from Nigel, like all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, it's implied that it keeps going for like months and months.
Yeah. This is also where we get the meme from this movie, Meme Watch on Sync Floyd. Are you wearing the Chanel boots? Yeah, I am. Meme. Classic from the genre, delectable. Pairs well with Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Yes.
I did not understand what the meme would be, but okay. Do you post it every time you're wearing Chanel boots?
They change the Chanel boots for various other ridiculous fashion items, or I think whatever is in vogue at that time. They say like, "Oh, are you wearing the gritty head from the NFL?" Yeah, I am. Like that kind of thing. I don't know.
Okay, I'm more on board now.
Are you wearing the blue and gold or white and black dress or whatever it was? Yeah, I am. That's the kind of deal. Thank you for Meme Corner at Sync Floyd. This is why
I've told this story
hosts.
before, but I once went on WashingtonPost.com to try to get a meme explained to me, so I need you, James.
Happy to help. Public service. Anyway, yes. So we go from after work. It's great. She goes and like visits her boyfriend. Who they have this whole thing where it's like, whoa, mamma mia, who's this hottie I spy? Oh, what? It's my girlfriend? Wowee. It's so silly. I don't know why it's in the movie. It's really, really weird. But
yeah, and there's 3 scenes like that.
Yeah.
Like where they just drop everything they're doing in order to like pretend to like be other people and seduce each other.
Yeah, like, wow, let's go have all the sex. Our relationship is healthy. Anyway, yeah, we go into brain damage and we've got a montage of her wearing all this like high fashion stuff on her day to day. It's well shot. It's a fun sequence where we get like match cuts. Where like something cuts across the screen and then she's in a completely different outfit on her way to work. It's cool. It's nice cinematography stuff. And yeah, it's also shown that she's like handling things better, and like stepping up to the plate effectively, and Miranda is taking notice of this, that she hasn't given up despite like her past failures. So development. We go from here and she visits her friends at the bar again, who are like now worried that Andy is like changing so much because of this new job. She's like still the same person underneath, but is like changing parts of her personality, and they're like worried about losing that. But this is glossed over because she brings them cool gifts. So yeah, she gets like free stuff from her work, and her friends are like more concerned with that actually than her, emotions. Cool. She's enjoying the job more and like finding out more about it. And we head into the end of this first playthrough, Eclipse. And Andy leaves the bar and goes to like a party to run an errand for Miranda, picking up a thing from handbag designer man James Holt, who like is having a big party, and he's like, okay, relax for a bit. You can hang out at the party. And over the last lines of Eclipse and the heartbeats between the plays, we meet Christian Thompson, the other love interest, played by Simon Baker, the bloody mentalist.
The mentalist himself.
Yeah. Who is consistently shit through the whole movie. Not much more to say, really. He's just like quite clearly a slime bag from the get-go. And we're led to believe that he's this like wonderful person. So don't know what's going on with him. How did you find his performance, Garrett?
Yeah, so I don't know how much, like, there isn't a full Wikipedia section about how we're supposed to see this guy in the modern world.
Yeah.
But, like, everything he does is so slimy, is so, like, transparently trying to trade professional favors for sex.
Yep.
It's like, does not play well in this day and age in the slightest.
Hell no. It's so irredeemable. I'm pretty sure it was irredeemable at the time as well.
Yeah. Just like to be that transparent, like you're writing a parody of a bad man.
Right.
And like, he doesn't really get enough. He gets a bit of a comeuppance, which was more than I expected him to. But like, he doesn't get enough of a comeuppance for me.
Not really, right?
But yeah.
It turns out he was wrong once, and that's like his final. Like, he's like, no, you were wrong about that thing you expected. And it's like, okay. Yeah. Like, still rich and famous and whatever, but okay, anyway. Yeah.
It's just the way he acts makes it seem like there's a dark subplot to him that.
Yeah.
Like, if there'd been maybe a sequel or like a midquel or something, it ends with him like going to jail. Like,
yeah, right?
Oh, he's also a murderer.
Yeah, I expected him to be, like, selling cocaine halfway through this movie, but it doesn't happen, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Like, it sucks. Like, the character's just so, like, shallow and uninteresting and also just awful to watch. Like, easily the worst part of the movie is this guy, because every time he's on screen, I do want to throw up.
Yeah.
So, no read on the actor. The mentalist is probably fine, like in real life, but like, boy, not your best role. Sorry.
He must have seen Stanley Tucci across the set wearing all his lovely scarves as well, and been like, oh yeah, lovely scarves, and just
no.
He set men wearing scarves back another 10 years.
He did. Put that on the cover of Runway. That headline, God. Scarf set back 10 years again by Christian Thompson.
By the villainous mentalist.
Villainous mentalist is very good to say.
Yeah.
All right, we'll start our playthrough too as we move past this guy being a creepo. They just sort of meet, and then he's like, okay, goodbye. He like hits on her, finds out that she has a boyfriend, and is like, cool, bye. And then like it's so much worse from then on as well. He also like talks down to her about her job. she's like, oh, yeah, I'm working for Miranda. And he's like, oh, you should not be doing that job. You seem nice and smart. You can't do that job. And then is just like staring at her, stony-faced. And it's like, cool. Thanks for that. Unnecessary comment.
Incredibly, like, transparently gatekeeps his, like, writing connections as well. He's like, send me your writing.
Yeah, and I'll get it to the right place.
Licks his lips and blinks his eyes like a villainous lizard.
And in trade, you will give me the sex. And it's like, okay. Yeah, gross.
I will keep my scarves on.
He probably does.
Like the Green Knight sash.
It is.
That movie hasn't come out yet, you mentalist.
You bloody mentalist.
Stop seeing the future.
What are you doing? Oh, you can see the future. Is that actually what happens in The Mentalist? I've never seen it. Is he like a precog? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, Mentalist report. He was a fake psychic and then like read John the killer or something, killed his family. So he started using his fake TV psychic abilities to help solve real crimes.
Okay.
Like, it's the classic, the big run of like mid early 2000s, charismatic guy with weird talent helps the police and is given full access to everything and has a will they won't they with another cop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sort of by the numbers then. That's not so bad. It's just like... Yeah. Just sort of a whatever show, but okay, man. Yeah. I can't wait for the like mad hate, the mentalist stands to come out and roast this podcast. It's going to be exciting. They're going to try and take over the hostship of the podcast.
Yeah. Oh no, they're going to email, they're going to become the hosts, and then they're going to destroy us from the inside.
Yeah. Like a couple of mentalists. Okay. Let's start playthrough 2 for real. Speak to me. We get another meeting pushed forward massively, where James Holt's like line is being shown before it goes like onto the runway. She gets like a preview, Miranda does, to like approve or disapprove of like various outfits or whatever, as one of the like key clients. Her opinion is, again, very important. She either like nods her head, shakes her head over different outfits, and like purses her lips if like what an outfit is a complete catastrophe. Like very strong like Julius Caesar kind of energy, you know? She actually does do the purse her lips thing for the outfit made specifically for her magazine. So not great news there. From here, we see that Andy is like being trusted a bit more and gets given the book to deliver, which is like sort of a rite of passage kind of thing. Now, she's like proven herself enough where she can actually drop off this important book to Miranda's home. So that's like a big deal thing, able to get closer to her. Emily finds out about this and gives specific instructions as we see this delivery going down. As part of this, she has to be like invisible and not talk to anyone when she's inside Miranda's house. But unfortunately, when she gets there, there's like too many options for places to leave the book, and also the dry cleaning that she's in charge of. And we go into On the Run for the drama here, and she's like sort of panicking in the moment. But the twins, Miranda's like twin daughters, upstairs, and they guide her on where to put the stuff and what to do. They do like a sneaky evil twin thing where they're like, oh, you can give the book to us. You can come up here. Just bring the book upstairs. It'll be fine. Emily does it all the time, you know, as they're like holding hands and speaking in sync. And yes, so she brings up the book on this advice and accidentally walks in on Miranda and her husband having an argument, like a private argument between them. And she just like, Miranda spots her, stares at her, and he just like drops the book at the top of the stairs and then like runs away as if she's caught in the eyes of a predator. It's so good. The following, she gets like back to work, I don't know, the following day potentially, and Emily like tells her off saying that she's no idea what Miranda's going to do in response to this, but she's clearly not happy about it. And Miranda like seems fine when she comes in. She calls in Andy to her office and demands that she go and get the unpublished manuscript of the new Harry Potter book, placing us firmly in the 2000s. So there you go. It's a strange reference now. So they even mention J.K. Rowling by name, and it's like, that's a name that I've not heard in a long time. It's very different.
Yeah, ever since we all decided the Harry Potter books have no author, it just appeared.
Weird. Yeah, weird how that's the case now.
I thought this was amazing. This was like such a cool plot idea. Simply because when it happened, I joked to myself like, it'd be so funny if she wants a book that's not even written yet.
It's perfect.
And then that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly right, yeah. So she makes this like insane demand. She also demands that she get a steak from a restaurant that isn't open yet.
Yeah.
Which is very good. And we go into time here. We've got the crash sounds like happening here. Again, not really syncing with much. The clocks and time going off. Again, not syncing with much. And she's like, Andy runs about the city trying to get this stuff sorted. First sorting out this steak, this impossible to get steak from the restaurant. She's on the phone at the same time trying to get the Harry Potter thing sorted. She has one of my favorite lines in the movie, which is, "Yes, I know it's impossible, but I was wondering if you could make the impossible possible, if that's at all possible." Which is very, very funny.
That's writing, baby.
Yeah. She calls through to Creepy Christian and asks him if he can help because with his publishing connections. And he's like, nah, can't be done. Sorry. And she's like, okay. Manages to get that steak from the closed restaurant, which is very impressive. But when she brings it up to Miranda, she's like, oh, what are you doing? I don't want that anymore. Like, she's like, I don't care about that. I'm off to lunch. If I don't have that Harry Potter book on my desk to the twins before they go on their train, you'll be fired. Don't bother coming back in at all. And so Andy's like, fuck, okay. And like tosses out this beautiful steak directly into the sink, which made me sad. You probably got mixed feelings about it.
Smashes the plate.
Oh. Yeah, brutal. Poor plate did nothing wrong. Anyway, yes, but effectively, it's pretty clear she's just being impossible and pedantic for the sake of it, as like punishment for showing up at her house unannounced. This is her like retribution, setting these impossible tasks so that she can fire her. Anyway. Andy decides, she calls her boyfriend who's at work and says that she's going to quit because it's impossible. And she's like, I may as well quit if she's going to fire me anyway because I can't do this crazy thing. And he's like, okay, cool. I'm glad you've made that decision. That's the decision that I've been wanting you to make for ages. So I'm happy you're also making it. Anyway, she hangs up the phone and gets a call back from Creepy Christian who manages to have miraculously found a copy of this manuscript because of his publishing connections or whatever. It's like a friend of a friend situation.
It's the person who does the cover art, which I don't know if you know this, but this would have been the 7th Harry Potter book. Famously, the person who did the cover art did not get to read the book at all and just got told by J.K. Rowling what to paint. So
there you go.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear if you look at the covers of the books. They're like very weird, you know?
Yeah, especially that one where it's just the characters falling into a big pile of money. As if J.K. Rowling saying, this is me, guys.
Yeah, what if Harry was very rich?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about Harry Potter as a story is that for no reason at all, Harry's just like impossibly rich throughout the whole story, and no one resents him for that. It's so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah. The great but Hagrid, I haven't any money. And then it turns out, no. It is such a weird part.
No. It's so bizarre. It's just such a great plot point in that kids' movie. It's like, what if there was a secret wizard school that you didn't know about, but also you were insanely rich? It's so funny. Anyway.
Like, what if there was a magical wizard world you didn't know about, but also you're the most famous of them, but also you're really, really good at this magic, but also you're really rich? Don't forget that.
Yeah, if that wasn't enough, you wait till you look at your bank balance. Woo! Yeah. Ow! Anyway, she manages to pick up this manuscript and drops it into Miranda, who's like, this isn't good. The twins will have to share the Harry Potter book. And she's like, no, I've already printed 2 copies. And she's like, wow, I don't see these copies. And where are they? And she's like, oh yeah, they already have them. They're on the train reading Harry Potter book. It's fine. It's all sorted. This impossible task, I've done it. She's also gotten Miranda's coffee. So well done. Great work. And we're like mid-time solo as she's walking away successful. Yes. The boyfriend is now upset that she's like still doing this job after deciding to quit because her boss is insane. And she's like, I don't want to throw away the work that I've done there. And he's like, you've changed, man. You're not the same girl that I knew. And she's like, yes, I am. Stop being weird. Or at least she should say that, but whatever. Anyway, later on, we're at a photo shoot with Nigel, and he's like, gives a warning about her personal life. He says like, she's stressed out because her personal life is suffering because of her job. And he's like, yep, that's how it goes. He's like, yeah, if you're doing well at work, that's exactly when your personal life will suffer. Let me know when your whole life goes up in smoke, because that means it's time for a promotion. That's what he says. Incredible. Wild stuff. Wild mentality to have. We go into a great gig here as there's like a meeting with Nigel and the in-house designers and Miranda. And Emily comes in very sick with a cold. Just so sick. And she's still trying to assist Miranda. She is like trying to hold herself together because there's an upcoming benefit party that she's attending with Miranda. And because she's going to this, it means that Andy can have some time off, which is just as well because it's her boyfriend's birthday and they're going to have a party for him. But of course, this doesn't go well because Emily is too sick, decided by Miranda, and they both have to go. Andy's going to assist Emily at this benefit. And neither of them are happy about this situation, but that's what's going to happen. They have to go over like a freaking dossier of guests that they have at the benefit thing in order to remember like who these people are to tell Miranda. That's like their whole job, to like flank her and say, this is this person and this is how you know them. Like, that's hilarious in concept as well.
Yeah.
That she's like so jaded, she's like doesn't even know the people attending her own benefit. It's very funny. Anyway, so she's just going to have to be late to her boyfriend's birthday. We also get this, when we rock up at the benefit, we get this fantastic line from Emily where she talks about her new diet. I love this. It's so funny. She's like, oh yeah, my new diet is that I don't eat anything, and then when I feel like I'm about to faint, I eat a cube of cheese. Wild. So funny.
Yeah.
Who came up with that?
She must be like living her life in a hallucination cross between like starvation and cheese dreams.
Right? Fucking no wonder she's sick as hell. It's because she's not eating anything and only eating cheese. Like every 3 days. What a psycho. Oh my god. We go into money, and we just like at this benefit, we establish a rivalry between the head of the French division of Runway, Runway, Le Runway, who is Jacqueline is this person's name. We don't really know much about her, but that's fine. She's just like an antagonist person for Miranda, presumably equally intense, but we don't know. Whatever. Emily blanks on a name that she's supposed to remember because she's like hasn't eaten anything in 3 days, and Andy steps up and like has her covered. She's like proving herself as this competent person. And yeah, after the benefit, she's like running off to attend her boyfriend's birthday. When she's again intercepted by Creepo Christian outside, who's on his way to the benefit, maybe? He says, if it weren't for your stupid boyfriend, I'd have to whisk you away right now. Gross. What? That's not a thing you say. That sucks. Anyway.
Is it this part or is it later where he's like, I'm just thinking about how much you still owe me for Harry Potter?
He says that on the red carpet. That's still to come.
Oh, later on.
Yep.
Wow. Sorry, just a glimpse into the future like the mentalist himself. Who we've already established doesn't do that.
Get this mentalist out of here.
Yeah. Be gone.
Be gone. Yes. He's like, again, he leverages his like connections again. He's like, oh yeah, I'll put you in contact with the New York Magazine editor. Just follow me inside and have a drink with me, yeah? And she's like, no. Goodbye. So at least she's like recognizing, she's like being polite, I guess, but this guy sucks. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, she shows up at home after having missed Nate's birthday with like a little cupcake with a candle on it that's lit. I have no idea how she lit it in the hallway, but sure. Anyway, I guess she like secretly smokes. Unclear. But yeah, he's like so funny here. He's all sad that she missed his birthday. He's such a grump and he just like doesn't say anything. He's all like despondent, and I get it. Like the guy's like, oh, you missed my birthday. That sucks. It's because of the job that I hate that you have that I hate, and that sucks. And it's pushing you away from me. But he's just such a fucking child in this scene. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Act like an adult. Just talk about your feelings, bro. God. No, doesn't. Just looks sad and goes to bed. Like a grown man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, Andy goes away and drops off the book again, wearing a particularly silly hat. And
oh yeah.
It's like a weird, like, I don't know. Again, this is me not knowing anything about fashion, but it's like a tartan like beret cap hat. It looks really weird. I don't know.
This is the like most expensively costumed movie because they couldn't get cameos from actual people in the fashion world because they didn't want to offend Anna Wintour, of whom Miranda's supposed to be based on.
Sure.
But a lot of them still gave clothes, so this is one of the most expensively costumed films ever made. But it also was made in the 2000s, so everyone's dressed in many, many layers.
Yeah. And
doing that weird kind of 2000s look where you had to look like you were a little like pickpocket.
Yeah.
You look at like Fall Out Boy on their second album and everyone's dressed like they're at private school, but they're going to knife you up if you're not good. If you don't like do a little dance for them.
Wow.
Yeah. Poor Anne Hathaway is deep in this look.
Yeah. She's pickpocketed up for sure.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I'd never thought about it that way, but you are so right. Wow. God.
Yeah, you'd wear like a little trilby and a weird little like private school uniform.
Yep.
And many, many belts that could hide all kinds of pickpockety weapons.
Perfect. I wanted to come back now. I feel like I've missed the boat on being a little pickpocket. You know? I feel like that's not a bad look. Never mind. I'm coming around to this little hat now. The more that you've told me about it, you've convinced me. Sold me.
Who knows what pickpocketing goods are hidden underneath?
Exactly. Anyway, she's dropping off this book, and Miranda like calls out to her to drop it off to her directly because she's just like hanging out at her house. And she says, right, you did so well at the benefit that I need my best possible team to come with me to Paris for Fashion Week, and this no longer includes Emily. Dun, dun, dun. And so she needs Andy to go in her place, and she says, if you don't go, I will assume that you're not serious about your job, your future at Runway, or any other publication. I'll be horrible if you need a reference. And it's like, okay, cool boss stuff, sure. She doesn't really have a choice. We go into Us and Them now. As after this shot, we do have a very funny shot of her walking around the city in this hat, just like looking very sad because she hasn't managed to pick any pockets. She like even like looks at like family photos of herself being like, yes, remember when I wasn't into fashion and I was happier? Like, I guess that's what she's musing over. It's very weird that she's like, remember literally 6 months ago? What a time.
It'd be so great if she's like looking at a photo of herself in the past and that version of her is like holding some fancy shoes and like pinching her nose, like, ugh, gross.
P.U.
Because that's the only way you can be like, you can show that that's a photo of back when I didn't care about that stuff.
Right? Oh, so good. I think I assume it's in the past because she's pictured with her parents and we haven't seen them in a very long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, we have that fantastic sequence which could have easily been cut from the movie, and the next day, Miranda drops her bag and coat on Emily's desk, showing this like change in power dynamic that's happened, and tells Andy that she's the one that has to tell Emily that she can't come to Paris. It's like, oh shit, you've also got to be the bearer of bad news. So she calls her up on the phone, and Emily is trying to like get to work, running late, not having a good day. And before she can deliver the news, Emily gets hit by a taxi, like quite dramatically, and rolls over the hood. It doesn't sync with anything from what I could tell.
No
on the run crash here.
I mean, it happens to Us and Them, so you could imagine it's happening to Us and Them, Malee.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, we'll take that. That's all right. It's at least throwing together a rhyme. Or like, anyway, yes, we visit Emily in the hospital now, who's like crushed because she can't go to Fashion Week in multiple ways, even if she wanted to now. At least Andy as well is honest with her and says that like Miranda chose that she couldn't go, like straight up tells her, and she could just like, it's set up as if she could be like, oh, now you can't go, whoops, but she does tell her. I like that she tells her. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a good character trait. Emily's obviously very upset. I love that she's like way more upset about not getting to go to Fashion Week than like any part of her injury. She's like really beat up and like messed up. And she's like saying about how, this is so unfair, as she's like devouring the meal that's in front of her, the hospital meal, like shoveling chocolate pudding into her mouth. I love it so much. Pink Floyd also sang Black and Blue over this sequence as part of Us and Them, the like coming back after the solo, which Emily is after being hit by a car. So there you go. There's a sync. Finally. And Andy goes to her friend's art show as like, her friend running the gallery. She's like put on this like photography exhibit of just like buildings around New York, which fine, I guess. Like the photos do look nice and they're blown up like really, really big. So it looks cool. I don't know if it's like breaking new ground, but I was like, okay, sure. Is hanging out here at the exhibit at the art gallery showing, and creepy Christian is here again, just like stalking her at this point, basically.
Yeah, seriously.
He's like, shmur, shmur, I've got a hotel where I'll be staying in Paris. You could come there, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, go away. And she says, she tells him that he'll have to find someone else's life to change. And he's like, I don't know if I can. And then comes in and like kisses her on the cheek, unprovoked. To which the gallery friend sees this and is like, what the fuck? You're not the same person that I thought I knew. Random creepy Christian guys are out here kissing you on the cheek. What's going on with that? That's not the Andy I know and like. And it's a weird judgment scene, and that it wasn't her that did the kissing, but sure. Calls her out on it. And it's at this point that her boyfriend Nate arrives on the scene, and she decides this is the point where the plot will be moved forward, and she blows up in his face for basically no reason. He's like, she's like, you're going to judge me now too. And they have this like ridiculous escalating argument where it's like, stop giving me a hard time about my job. And he's like, I don't care about your job. I care about you acting with integrity. Like, she's somehow like, because she doesn't like her job but is sticking it out, that's like fundamentally not good. Like, that's, you don't have integrity if you do that. It's like, okay, weird judgment to be passing. Anyway, he's like, he says that she's like become the thing that she hates, like a sycophant that is waiting on her boss hand and foot, etc., and says that they don't have anything in common anymore. It's the classic break up with your girlfriend right before she goes to Paris move, you know. That old chestnut that we know and love.
I wonder if he's actually like, it's all just about the birthday. And he just knows some really smart words. So he's just like, integrity. And then, like, you know, he's in too deep now that he said that. So he's like, well, I better make it all about integrity. Yeah. There's no coming back.
Possibly. She does accuse him of that and he denies it. I will vouch for the movie. But yeah, he's like, what am I for? When she's like, you're still upset about the birthday. I feel like he kind of is. It's quite funny. Anyway, yes, they break up. We're on a break, Ross and Rachel. The Pink Floyd agree. They sing Down and Out. There's a lot of it about, and these characters sure are. Yes. We go to Paris. I love that she's just like so upset. We end on this like horrible sour note. She's really upset. She gets a call from Miranda. And then she cut to her smiling in Paris. Yeah. Which is very strange. We get views from the runway at Fashion Week. I think they actually did this for real, like at the 2006 or whatever Fashion Week. They shot this, which is pretty cool. And we see the crew schmoozing with paparazzi all around after this and like sort of an after party. And we go into brain damage as, again, Christian on the red carpet here, or like on the line here, makes moves on her. He gets very excited when he finds out that she doesn't have a boyfriend anymore, because that's what he's been waiting for all film. And yeah, it's gross. He's like, come and meet up with me for dinner later, girl. You owe me for Harry Potter. It's like, ugh. Yeah. Anyway, we go from here after this party situation. Andy goes back to the hotel that she's staying at with Miranda, and Miranda is caught in like a weak moment. We see her like out of her makeup and like in her like pajamas or whatever, and she's very upset quite clearly because her husband is divorcing her. For being too invested in her job, basically. She tries to keep up this like professional facade, but is clearly like really shaken by this and what it means for not only her reputation, but also what it's going to do to her daughters. And yeah, Andy's like, I can cancel your plans and the night that you have ahead of you. And she's like, no, why would you do that? And yeah, she's like going to continue on even though this like really harsh thing has happened in her life. And again, isn't really like going to change anything about her life. She doesn't really see that it's her job and her obsession with that's caused this. But yeah, it's like a cautionary tale kind of thing is I think the idea.
Yeah.
Yes. We go into Eclipse now, and Nigel comes in to reveal some news. He proposes a toast because he's like moving up and away from Runway magazine. He's been offered this like dream job kind of thing, working with that James Holt guy. He's taking his company international and is going to like partner with Nigel for this. And Miranda recommended him for the position. So it's this. It's good all round. Nigel's finally like getting to make his own decisions after being sort of under Miranda's thumb for so long. He says he's going to get to come to Paris and actually see Paris, which is very bittersweet, honestly, over the heartbeats here. So yeah, we go into our third playthrough, and Andy goes to this dinner with Creepo Christian, and yeah, he like sort of like tries to manipulate her to get her to say that Miranda's this horrible hard-ass boss, where and Andy like defends her, I think in response to seeing her in that like tough moment. And he's like, you've crossed over to the dark side, defending Miranda. I love it. You're evil like me now. It's like, okay, dude.
Yeah, it's just a weird negging mentalist trick.
Yep. And yeah, it gets worse from here. They walk down the streets of Paris, and she's had too much wine, and he like forces a kiss on her. And yeah, like takes her away to his hotel room, and they sleep together. And it's all yuck.
She outright says no like 3-5 times.
Yep.
Yep.
It's very bad. Very, very bad mentalist. Yeah, I don't know. I can't dwell on it any longer. I think I have to move on, or I'll be sad. She wakes up in his hotel room and finds out that he's got this like storyboard or like secret item that he's trying to hide, and finds out that Miranda is going to be replaced as head of Runway in the US by Jacqueline, the current head in France, Paris. And they're also putting this doofus in charge of the editorial content of the magazine. So some bad news for us, the watcher, as we go into On the Run. And she's like, oh shit, I've got to go tell Miranda. She rushes off to do this, and he's like, babe, wait, babe, wait. And she's like, I'm not your babe. Get out of here, guy. So she rushes off to try and tell Miranda ahead of time, and she's like too busy preparing for this conference that's about to happen. Finally manages to catch up with her and lets her know, but Miranda doesn't seem phased at all. It's just sort of continuing with her regular day. And we go straight to the conference as we get the crash sound in On the Run, where Miranda is taking the stage to give this presentation. She gets introduced by Nigel, who gives her like this very glowing commendation, and then takes the stage, crash sound, and she reveals to everyone that instead of Nigel taking the place alongside what's his name, bloody James Holt, that instead she's changed it so that Jacqueline instead takes this new job, saving her own spot at Runway and leaving Nigel in the lurch, basically, despite his like hard work and like a complete blindside. Immediately after this like really nice introduction, he's like, we get loads of shots of like happy little Stanley Tucci, very excited to get his promotion or to get his like dream job and have it announced by his boss, and we see his dreams crushed, and it's like, oh, so sad. And yeah, he's like applauding as part of the speech and says, he's like completely devastated, but still is saying, like trying to convince himself, when the time is right, she'll pay me back, is what he says. Yeah, he like has to believe that and hold out hope. Otherwise, he will be very sad. It sucks.
And isn't that just the corporate world in general, my friend?
Yeah, too true. Tough calls. Yeah, we go into Time's vocal kicking in, and in the car we like learn from Miranda that she knew that she was being like people were trying to like maneuver her out of the company effectively, out of her role, and she took it upon herself to find a better job for Jacqueline and put her name forward for it. So like stopping her, taking her place. And also went to Irv, the like business owner guy, and said like gave him a list of names of people that would all like walk if she got fired. Like, these are all my clients, and if I were to leave, you wouldn't have any of these people. It's like dirty stuff, you know? And Andy really isn't concerned with any of that. She's like upset with how she treated Nigel rather than any of that, you know? She's Miranda tries to say, like, offer Andy a compliment, being like, you're like me, you make the right decisions, you make the tough decisions when you have to. And she's like, I couldn't make a decision like that, I couldn't treat Nigel the way that you did. And she's like, you've already usurped Emily, you chose to get ahead and be good at your job so that I would favor Emily over you, which is ridiculous, but sure. And yeah, she's like, you're just like me, that's why I like you. And she's like, well, what if I don't want to be like you? And she says, everybody wants to be like us. Everyone wants to be like this. Everyone wants to be like us, is what she says. In this moment, Andy decides that she does not want that. She's like, that is not who I am. I'm not like you. I don't want to be that way. And she walks away. Miranda like gets out of the car and goes one way, and she walks the other way, like away from all the paparazzi and stuff, snapping photos. Miranda like turns around to try and look for her, but Andy's already gone. And yeah, she throws her phone into a fountain and walks off, which does work over we get like the tempo change in time as she's walking away, which I thought was quite nice. And yeah, like at the start of the tempo change in time, we have the line home, home again as we return to the US. So that's nice too.
Yeah.
There we go. Back home in the US. And he meets up with Nate, and she's like, yes, you were right, Nate, about everything. My boss is mean. Well spotted. She's like sort of like apologizes and like doesn't like beg him to take her back or whatever. But yeah, she's like, I'm sorry for the way that I acted. And it's like, okay, I don't know if that she learns the right lesson here, but because he still sucks kind of as well, but whatever. He like acted like a big baby because she didn't show up for his birthday. But anyway, we go into Great Gig, and he's like got a new job in Boston while she was away in Paris. So that's good for him. And we end their relationship sort of like on a middling note. He's like, maybe we can work something out, is I think literally what he says. So it's not clear whether or not they get back together, especially with him having a job in a different area. So I kind of like that ending for the film, that it's sort of left open in that way, at least like the ending for their relationship. It would be worse if they were like, let's get back together, I was wrong about everything. It would be like much closer to like Grease or something if that were the case. I don't know.
And it'd be so much worse if she was like, let's get back together, I'll come to Boston with you and forget my dreams.
Exactly. Give up on your dreams, girl.
Which, like, if this movie had come out like 10 years earlier, would have totally just been the end.
Absolutely.
I learned my place.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a better movie than that, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, Andy, in fact, has a job interview today at the New York Mirror. And yeah, goes into this interview with the guy. He like questions her time at Runway, calling it like a blip in her professional career that she has to explain. And yeah, he's like, I questioned this, and I sent a thing to Runway, and I got a fax from Miranda herself, which is hilarious that he got a fax, but sure. And yeah, she says directly that out of all the assistants that she ever had, Andy was by far her biggest disappointment, and he would be an idiot if he didn't hire her. So there you go. It's like she thinks that she's the biggest disappointment because of how she fucked it up, I think, is the idea, right? Miranda's like learned this lesson where she let this great assistant go, and the disappointment is her disappointment and not like valuing her and letting her get away, I think is the idea. Yeah. It's a little open to interpretation. And yeah, it's this like glowing endorsement effectively that's being offered here. Yeah, so this interview obviously goes well. She goes out and calls Emily on the phone, sort of like doing the like backhanded double speak kind of thing, where she very kindly gives her all of the clothes that she got in Paris as this like is this nice gesture, but she's like, oh, all these clothes are weighing me down. Boy, it would be helpful if someone took them off my hands, you know? And she's like, well, I guess I'd have to like take them in and do all kinds of work to even get them to be wearable. But I guess I could do that. Oh, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's a really nice gesture. And she hangs up the phone and is like, to this poor gormless person that's replaced Andy in this second assistant position, she's like, you've got very big shoes to fill. And yeah, as she's going about her day, Andy spots Miranda from across the street, getting into her car. They sort of exchange a look, with Andy doing a very awkward wave and Miranda giving no discernible reaction at all, before getting into her car. And invisibly to Andy, she smiles, like lets this like wry smile out, and then just tells her driver to go. And that's how we wrap the movie as we go into a great gig and the credits start a rolling. Andy's walking towards her new future here in the big city. Credits. What did you think? How did it sink?
Well, what did I think and how did it sink? I was surprised, I was pleasantly surprised by just how good this movie was. But that surprise, my friend, did not go any further towards the way it synced with Dark Side of the Moon. It was like someone wearing an amazing outfit and then they turn around and you realize that outfit is just held together by tape and putty. It was, that Dark Side to the Side of the Moon, once you pulled that thread, the fashion came undone. What did you think?
Yeah, no good at all. Very, very poor sync. Even compared to like other bad syncs we've had, not good. Like, probably a 1, I'm thinking, on the scale. Like, if I had to say a movie that definitely doesn't sync up, it's this, I think, like, it wasn't like a horrible experience. It didn't make both parts actively worse, but it is definitely,
which we have had.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't sync. So I think that's a 1, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a 1. It's, check them both out, though. Check out Dark Side of the Moon. Check out Devil Wears Prada.
Both good on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, I've already done the fashion metaphors to death, but it's like, don't wear your favourite shoes and your favourite skirt. They might not work well together.
Exactly. Don't wear a business shirt and pajama pants at the same time. It probably doesn't work,
Yeah. All right, John Krasinski.
All right.
Stop doing it.
John, please. We've got company.
But, you know, the reason we turn to a magazine like Runway is to look forward.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, you know, we've got to look forward to next week, what we're going to cover on the show next week, James.
True.
And it's a bit of a milestone episode next week.
Oh.
It's actually our 2001st episode.
What?
We've been doing this show for 2001 weeks.
Have we?
Yeah, we started the show, don't you remember, back
Oh, God.
January 9th, 1984.
Oh, my God.
2001 weeks ago.
Am I stuck in Pink Floyd's time? Has time slipped me by and I didn't notice?
Oh, James, you don't remember?
No.
You don't remember when we would release this on cassette and then mini disc and then as a magazine and then live on TV.
Wow.
All the way up into its current form as a podcast.
What a journey.
2001 episodes covering every movie. Your favourite movies.
Wow.
Yeah, if we haven't covered it, it was back when we were a cassette.
I guess I've just... I don't know how to respond to this gaslighting, Gareth.
And then I put on my quiet voice again. I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
James, you will play along with my gaslighting.
Oh, play along at home.
That's all. Play along at home, gaslit. Oh, God. Anyway, to celebrate 2001 episodes
Yes.
of this show, from us, two very, very old ape-like men, we're tossing this podcast up in the air and match cuts to next week's episode, 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Let's do it. Yes. One that has been on the horizon for a while. I'm excited to see how this finally syncs up, you know. This is one that people say actually does sometimes. So we'll be interested to see if it does or not.
Will it sync better than Devil Wears Prada?
Probably.
Well, until then, I've been Gareth Blacklow.
I've been the very fashionable James Barron.
And you've been John Krasinski, listening at home, checking us out at SyncFloydPod on social media.
Yeah.
SyncFloydPod@gmail.com if you want to host the show.
Right in.
Yeah. And, hey, have a great week.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
Suddenly I see, this is what I wanna be. Suddenly I see, why the hell it means so much to me. It's so hard to do your own backing track while singing. That's the issue that I have with KT Tunstall. How does she do that? I don't know.
No, talented. There's K Tunstall and T Tunstall is the backing.
Oh, they're separate entities. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.